Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Architecture of Health. I'm Deb Voisin, and this week, my guest is Tim Anderson, the founder of Original Strength. Original Strength is a movement method that really made a big difference in my life to discover that I could know enough about my own system to reset my habitual movement patterns in a way that made me stronger, more supple, and it really sparked my progress and commitment to the movement journey that I'm on. A health through movement. Tim Anderson is a pioneer in this area for sure. So welcome to our show, Tim.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate being here.
Yeah, I took the first level of original strength training where I learned the vestibular, how the vestibular system, the eyes work, the developmental movement patterns, and how we can just reawaken some of our innate systems to feel almost instantly better. Can you tell the audience a little bit like what is original strength? Like what does it look like and why did you create it?
I'll try. So original strength it's really just moving in your design. We were all born with a original operating system or an original movement template. And if we engage in that, even as adults, we all engaged in it as children, but if we engage in it as adults, it does a lot of the same wonderful things for our bodies that it did for us as children, meaning that it helps build our brain, helps tie our brain together, and it helps our body become very efficient, strong, and resilient. And again, we were all born with this movement template, and we were actually designed to engage in it throughout a lifetime. And it is the design, our body is designed to stay strong and healthy for our entire journey here. We're not designed to grow weak, frail, and fragile after we turn 26. That's just crazy, especially, given that we're capable of living into our hundreds, right? So anyway, original strength is the idea and notion that we're designed to be resilient, capable, and able throughout our entire lives, and that we were never meant to be weak, frail, or fragile. And I came across this because I was feeling weak, frail, and
We're
fragile one night,
fragile.
and I didn't like it. I wasn't very smart. I had a bunch of overuse injuries that I was ignoring and just trying to push through. Meaning I just kept training and did not let my body recover. But thankfully, I did let that aggravate me enough to feel fragile one night, and I honestly I just asked God to show me how to train to be bulletproof because I love Superman, and I did not feel like Superman that night. So I was hoping that he would show me how to be Superman. And that's pretty much what happened. In about 2 weeks, I picked up a book on learning disorders in children, and I saw how wonderfully designed the body was. God just kind of connected the dots, and everything made sense that we are made to be strong, and we're not made to be in pain or weak. So anyway, that's OS in a nutshell, I think. And that's how I got started.
Well, a couple things. One is I noticed your shirt, maybe lift it up a little bit. It's Superman. Yes. And I love that you called out to God to show you. I in my worst times, during COVID, I had some sudden and dramatic life changes. And I told people it felt like the the chapter of Job in the Bible. It just felt unreal. And even in the middle of it, I dropped a Bible open, and where was it? It was that one sentence about having faith and it being a test, but you have the faith and you get through. And I've been I haven't leveraged that in my life until the shit hit the fan. And then I started every night before I go to bed. Is there anything I need help with? And then I'll just say, like, God, show me clearly. God, show me clearly what I need to do. Da, 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 da. And I'm starting to really see the results. And not that anyone else has to have the same experience that I do, but I love that you shared that. And then the second part of often we need an injury or a crash or something or a repetitive use injury to realize that we need something to change. Can you tell me a little bit about what was it in that book about learning? Was it learning disabilities? What
Yeah,
was
no, it
in
was learning.
there that was the light bulb?
So the book was called Smart Moves, and it was about learning disorders in children. So it was basically like how to help children with ADD, ADHD, or just, how to help them develop well in schools because our school systems aren't set up for healthy brains. So anyway, the book was talking about how moving in contralateral patterns like crawling or doing cross crawls actually helps tie the hemispheres of the brain together and helps a child focus, remember, concentrate, helps regulate their emotions. And then it went on to talk about how there are studies to show that how crawling has helped people rehabilitate from a stroke, and remap their brain. And I was thinking, so the light bulb was, wow, if crawling will do this for somebody that is compromised, what would it do for somebody that wasn't? That was my does it just work for people with learning disorders or injuries to their brain, or what does it do on a health, I'm gonna put quote healthy brain? What could it do for a regular person? Like why, so, and I already knew the answer. I was like, I bet it does really wonderful things. So that was the light bulb. Like I knew that I knew that I knew before I even started crawling that it was going to be what I was looking for. And it was.
So your first step was crawling.
It was pretty much.
I mean, it's not even a step. Like it was a baby step, which is a crawl. And
It
I know,
was.
and audience, if you haven't already checked out, there are a lot of YouTube videos, but there are developmental movement patterns like nodding and rocking, and the steps that a baby does. A baby, as it learns to roll over, uses its eyes and its head to initiate a spinal movement. There's the Moro reflex of like reaching. Um, and these patterns, you provide a lot of great content on YouTube with a lot of options to try, mostly on the ground, right?
Yes. Well, I mean, because as children, we get strong being on the ground, spending time on the ground. I mean, in our vestibular system, which is like our balance system, really it's our gravitational detection system. It is made to detect gravity and to help the body learn how to stack itself up against gravity. And it works from us changing positions and challenging our body relative to the gravitational pull. So which means tummy time and back and belly time as a child is really where we develop our strength and ability and our foundation of movement. And that's where we get strong enough to get our bodies so that we can stand up and walk on 2 feet. But it's also where we build our brains and the rest of our nervous system as well.
Yeah, that's something that people seem to, at least I, in my younger years, confused. I had this idea of a quote, dumb jock. No, actually, people who move, their brain, their nervous system is so much better wired together than a couch potato. As long as you don't wreck yourself trying too hard, which is those overuse injuries. And like I told you before our call started, I was a yoga survivor because I was overdoing. And what I've learned is our design is to move forward through space, is
Yes.
to and manage 90% or something of our brain's energy is used navigating how we are in a field of gravity. So smart people invest in templated, respecting our design and how we move. So you started with the crawling and then you later developed. How did you, you've been around a long time. What, 10? Have you been teaching this 10 years?
At least since 1975, I've been here. Um,
How how long ago did you invent or discover, maybe that's a better word, discover original
I,
strength?
it was around 2009, 2008, 2009, somewhere in there.
And so at first you just had friends crawl with you, or you started with your own body and you got
Yeah.
this regeneration of some kind.
So I had a good friend that I said I called him up. I said, "Hey man, you gotta listen to this." And I read him some of the sentences out of the book Smart Moves, and then I told him what I was thinking, and he's like, "Yes." And so him and I just started working on um, you know, we started testing it. We spent a lot of time on the ground, crawling around, moving our eyes and our head, rolling, rocking, and what we learned is that it did some amazing things. Like both of us were feeling good. Both of us were moving really well. We called up another friend. We got him to start trying it too, who was really big into weight training, and he was a great teacher as far as helping other people learn how to, do weight training and stuff like that. He started doing it. He was getting amazing results, and then we just knew. We
Mhm.
knew we had something wonderful on our hands.
In the day-long training I took in San Francisco, I was really thrilled when I heard the instructor, I can't remember his name, it was really good, talk about he had a client who had had a stroke and he just helped them touch the opposite hand to the opposite knee. And they recovered in a way no one ever expected. And it was super fast. And if you think about one thing that I kind of have an ethical purpose to is also decreasing wasted medical costs or the damage that the medical system does trying so hard to help us be healthy when there are much cheaper, more effective ways to regenerate and feel good. When I heard about the simple solution of the opposite hand to the opposite knee in someone who had lost use of one side of their body, even though it had to be assisted, carrying the hand to the knee. And it was a few sessions. It was just a few sessions, and their progress was incredible. So and I'm, most of my friends, we do a lot of West African dance. We're in our 50s, 60s, 70s, and as our hips get a little wonky from, cross-legged sitting or driving, I can also see how important it is to square our bodies to the ground. Like just getting the shoulders and hips to be both pushing against something in even movement can really clean up our gait cycle since we walk so much.
It can. I mean, so getting on the ground on all fours and like say just rocking back and forth or just hanging out there and breathing. That's as a child, that's where we get our posture, our postural curves. But it's also where we do learn loading through our joints. So it's where we teach our stabilizers how to stabilize our shoulders and our hips. And
Ah,
when our stabilizers learn how to do their job, our movers learn how to do their job. So being on the ground on all fours is where we teach our body how to actually move. We teach it stability, we teach it balance, we teach it coordination, and we all the instruments that are in the symphony learn how to do their role, and then they all play in harmony together. So that is why it is so awesome and crucial to spend time on the ground and challenge your body in different planes of gravity.
and it's simpler than you could ever think. That's what I find about some of the most I've enslaved myself to complicated movement methodologies or health practices with, I have 1,000 supplements and then do this. And yet the simplest things like the sunshine, putting your feet in the grass, having good water, and then rocking and rolling on the ground. It's fitness and health should feel good and be easy. And your work really makes it super easy. So one thing about that is so creating the postural curves. So I love that you explained how it stabilizes the joints while also teaching the coordination and the curves of the spine. I noticed um, the lifting of the head and the nodding and the being able to look everywhere. I know a lot of people get tension. Maybe it's the phones, maybe it's just sitting with our pelvises tucked under in the chairs. When someone's starting out with a pretty big restriction in their lower back or neck, how do you advise people to work through that?
That's a good question. So everybody's different, but everybody's body is doing exactly what it's supposed to based off the information that it's getting, right? From however they're moving, however they're thinking, however they're eating. It's all information. So their expression of that information or how they're expressing themselves to the world is based on that information. So their body is functioning just the way it's supposed to. The output or the expression is a result of the input, right? So we just encourage people to start where they are because everything's already working the way it's supposed to anyway. So if they can't move their eyes and head but so much without moving into pain, hey, well, let's just start there, start where you can move without going into pain, and let's just take advantage of what you have. So let's get really good at the information in that small range of motion that you can move. And what that does is it eventually pushes the envelope. The brain feels feels really safe with the information it's getting now because you're taking advantage of it. And it says, you know what? I might let you have a little bit more now. I'm going to let you express yourself in a bigger fashion now. So what might seem what is a limitation actually becomes the greatest foundation for you to launch your new body from, right? So you just take advantage of what you have, you use it so that you gain it. The body is use it or lose it, but it is also use it to build it, to keep it, to gain it, to have it, to move forward, right? So, and that's the design, right? And that's why it's such a beautiful, wonderful design because you're never stuck. So whatever limitations you have, they're not really limitations unless you make that agreement with yourself that you are limited, right? So, but if you take advantage of what you have, no matter how small it seems to be, you can grow it. I often tell people in the workshops, you cannot have an avalanche, which is immeasurably powerful to change the landscape. You cannot have an avalanche without a snowflake. It takes
Ah,
it
hmm.
takes the first snowflake to fall with the other ones falling on top of it to create all that power, the potential for that power later to have an avalanche. So don't discount the small things that you can do, just embrace them and take advantage of them.
That's so rich. One thing I've learned is this strange relationship we get with pain. And what you're talking about is that pain spiral where the brain is then more and more scared. You keep either you either keep re-triggering the pain or you avoid doing anything at all and then the brain only feels safe doing nothing versus this conversation about where is this investigation to find the space, find the quietness, find what makes the brain feel safe, and then from there you're just slowly expanding the range of possibility. And yeah, so that not respecting pain as a gift that is helping us find where we can move is a mistake I know I used to make. And I had a great movement teacher once with some of Ido Portal's people at Santa Cruz Movement. I did something stupid. I cracked my own ribs doing something
Oh,
terrible.
wow.
And then and yet and I was like, I can't do it. I can't use the whole, can't breathe, I can't do it. And then I was like, no, I've got to be able to do something. And I just started to find these little rotations, teeny tiny movements. And then pretty soon I was back. Like I was a whole day of like in bed with pillows and just couldn't lift anything up. And then when I used my breath and these little micro movements of serratus and the shoulder girdle, and then everything got wrapped back into place. It was, and our bodies are better than bandages and wraps. I learned that too from Ido Portal's people. Like the best bandages or the best brace for your joint is muscle. The wrapping, sinewing, multi-dimensional support is in us if we can create the safe space to recoordinate it or reintegrate it. No, okay, and this is sad, but I know a lot of people that cannot get down on the ground.
Yep.
Yeah. What do they do?
Oh, so again, we meet them where they're at and they move where they're at. If so fear is also information, right? So if they can't get on the ground because of they're afraid to, okay, that's fine. If they can't get on the ground because they're physically limited to, like their body just won't do it, that's also fine. But where do they live, right? So if they live in a chair or a bed, they can start moving in their design there. So even in a chair, you can start moving your body and challenge it in relationship to gravity. You can start using your vestibular system by moving your eyes and your head. You can learn how to breathe, how you were designed to breathe in a chair, in the bed, and
In
what
your
that
car.
in your
Yeah.
car. And what that ultimately, again, those are snowflakes, but those snowflakes lead to avalanches that can get you down on the ground eventually. So again, the thing is though that you want to engage. You got to be just curious enough to see where you can go with what you have. So so even if they're and I've met several people that couldn't get down on the floor initially, and that was okay, right? Like because again, their body's doing whatever it's designed to do based off of all the
All
information
the
and the
inputs.
history, yeah,
Yeah.
that it's been collecting over the years. So the goal is then is okay, well, let's meet it there and start giving it more information or new information that can lead to a new history for themselves.
And breathing as designed, that's the first thing I work with my clients. One interesting thing is I've had this fitness journey. With my torn labrums in my hips and my wonky yoga survivorship with my loose ligaments and all that, I just have to really focus on my design more than other people. And I've turned it into a joyful experience to learn the angles of the bones as they're designed to rotate. And it's not this militaristic flattening that I was striving towards. And there's a power in these coiling springs. And yet the simplest thing, being on the ground, rocking and crawling, restores those faster. I've spent thousands of hours and dollars researching many different methods, and I muscle test like, oh, is that in my design or out of my design? And when I come back to your work, it's always better. And it's the simplest stuff. I would just have to do it a couple times a day. And to your point, the bed is the ground. You can
It
do
is.
everything that you teach, someone could do in a full-size bed.
So that's the thing. Like if they're afraid to get down on the floor, guess what? Most people are not afraid to get in their bed,
Not at
right? So they can sit on it, and it's an elevated floor for the most part, and it's also soft and accommodating to knees that don't like hard surfaces, or I mean, or spines that don't like rolling around on hard surfaces. The bed is a floor that almost can be anybody. So it's a good spot.
And when you crawl, do you use knee pads or do you just use a
Ah,
carpeted surface?
I I don't, but I also recommend them for people that like depending on their surface. Because look, if you're going to crawl on your hands and knees, there's no need to crawl on concrete.
Yeah.
It's gonna feel better if you crawl in the grass or on carpet. Like so, a hardwood floor is not going to be the best surface. So it's, for people that don't have access to carpet or grass, yes, I recommend pillows. I recommend mats, padding, or knee pads. Like gardeners' knee pads work great. Volleyball players' knee pads work great. Um, but yeah, I recommend not moving in ways that hurt.
Yeah,
So
that's a good idea.
nobody likes crawling on concrete.
And one interesting thing too that I learned from your work was this, and that the idea of a reset. That some things are almost instantaneous, and it's not about, Deb, you need to crawl 8 hours today to get in your to reach some kind of goal. Can you address how much time you decide to invest in doing these things?
So by design, we're made to engage in our movement template every single day. Not only that, we're made to engage in it throughout the entire day. We're made to move, we're made to rest a little bit, made to move, but what we're not designed to do is sit still or be static without activating our vestibular system and giving our brain information. So my recommendation is live in your design. And if you consider what you're designed to do, that would mean move every day and move often throughout the day. So but it doesn't have to be like, you spend a dedicated 2 hour movement session. It might be that when you get up in the morning, you press reset or move through your original operating system, your developmental sequence for the first 10 minutes of your day. And then it might be that throughout the day, you engage in that design by intentionally moving around. You moving your eyes through their full range of motion, actually turning your head and neck and and returning them to the horizon often, like we're designed to do, instead of keeping them fixed on a small screen or, straight ahead, or living inside, if you wear glasses, just keeping your eyes fixed inside your frames all the time.
Right.
So like, by what we do is we end up shrinking our world when we're made to expand in our world. So it doesn't have to be, laborious, but it should be often and every day, because that's honestly what we're designed to do. Like we're and if you think about it, if breathing in your design is a reset for your nervous system, it is the number one messenger that tells your brain you're safe and how your body's doing. Your breath determines whether you're in fight or flight or rest and digest. So if you think about it, every single breath you take is a message of safety or not, which means that every single breath you take is designed to be a reset in and of itself, which means that you're always supposed to be pressing reset and restoring your nervous system. You're always supposed to be telling your brain, hey, we're in a good spot. I'm okay. You're always supposed to be moving your eyes and your head. There's never a time in your life when you're not supposed to do this, which means if you move often, all you're doing is living in your design.
And with the caveat of like repetitive stress, like you talked about repetitive use injuries.
Yes.
The funny thing is when I used to hike on an uneven surface and take my dogs, and I lived more on the floor, and I used to go out on these uh, rambling hikes every day. Then I moved into town where I was started taking 2 hour a day walks on a cement surface. Then my hips went. My hips were like, no, this is too monotonous. And my existing whatever twist I already had in my pelvis from the driving and the sitting or whatever expressed as this huge amount of chaos in my hips. So what I would say is that the intermittency of what you're talking about, like not doing the monster thing, the intermittency of scattering this movement rich, the movement rich diet rather than feasting, having one separate, identifying movement as separate from your everyday life is I think that's the top mistake most of us make. We identify our exercise or something as being separate than the rest of our lives when it really is who we are.
So this is a lot of us make the mistake of thinking exercise is the answer, uh, but it's not. Exercise is the band-aid. Exercise is something we made up because of the absence of us living in our design, right? And then the other thing is about what you're saying is you still have to think about design. So we're designed for the fairy tale of Goldilocks has a deeper purpose. Um, we're designed to live in the Goldilocks realm. So which means moving enough, moving at the right amount, right? And the secret is seen in the life, especially the first 3 years of a baby's life. They move until they're tired and then they rest. And then when they have the energy after they're recovered and refreshed from their nap or whatever, or for being still, they move more. They naturally have their own governor and they respect their governor. And their governor is, hey, I'm tired. I don't have the energy. I can't pick my big giant watermelon head up anymore. I need to lay it down.
They have huge watermelon heads. Yeah.
They do. So, but they don't persist relentlessly through trying to pick it up. When they can no longer do it, they may get agitated, they may fuss, they may cry, but they rest and they allow their body a chance to recover. And when they feel good again and they have the strength again, then they move again. And they do this on and off throughout the entire day. They take naps, they move, they eat, they nap, they move, but they're constantly moving throughout the day, but it is not constant movement all day. And so they're honoring their design because they can't do anything else. They can't outthink their body because they don't have a mind yet to strategize. Oh, I'm going to get in 10 sets of 30 no matter what. I'm going to walk this 5 miles no matter what. Right? They don't do that to themselves. They're like, oh, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to just lay here and rest for a second. I'm going to put my feet in my mouth now. So, but you see what I mean? Like they don't try to outsmart their design by enforcing their will on it through a complex rep scheme or a notion or a false notion that they were given, that thinking that the only way they can be tough is or I've got to walk 5 miles a day, 12,000 steps a day because it says that that's how I'm going to stay healthy and live forever. That's not true. And so if you walk 12,000 steps a day, great, especially if you break them up throughout the entire day. But if you go out on a 3 hour walk because you got to get in your 12,000 steps, you may be missing the mark a little bit. Anyway, I'm sorry.
I love it.
But the gist is we're made for the Goldilocks realm often. throughout the day. Not too much, don't want to burn too hot, but also not too little because we do want to stimulate ourselves enough to maintain our health. Like so it is use it or lose it, but it's also use it to keep it. And you can use it too much because you're not being smart and you can burn too hot and wear it out.
It's funny. I have done an experiment for the last 111 days of just doing a little sprint every day. I'm using the wavy biomechanics I've been studying because we're designed to recycle gravity and be springy. And I've always hated running. I just always wasn't following my design. I wasn't following the design of running. And now that I'm on to it, I've been doing this experiment of just a sprint. And I post a video in slow motion so everybody can see all the movement. It's like it's a very non-linear activity. A beautiful run is not linear at all. And yet everybody assumes, oh, how many miles are you doing? How oh yeah. And then my body's gotten nicer and nicer. And I'm like, no, actually I do like 40 seconds. I do 40 seconds a couple times a day. And then mostly I breathe and I crawl a little bit in the morning and I crawl a little at night. And it's actually this act of doing less and less that is surprising my friends. The breathing, though, wow, used to be an 8 hour road trip. I would be just destroyed, but I've been using, well, this particular way to restore the breathing design is kind of long exhale focused and then letting the inhale rush in. And after an 8 hour road trip of that, I just was more alive. I was so alive because I breathed and breathed. So I love this. So now you're a genius mover. I've heard you could crawl miles. Not that you will, not that you do, but you can. You've got a superhuman, superhero ability in your own everyday life. How does this philosophy show up? Like, does it show up in your furniture? Does it show up in how you schedule yourself? Does it show up as a morning reset and an evening reset? Does it show up as your house is close to your kid's school? Or like, can you tell me a few other ways that we can look at this, the design in a bigger context of your choices to respect your design the most?
All right, but this is going to be very boring. So here we
I
go.
love it.
Um, I wake up in the morning and I I just sit and gather my thoughts for about an hour. Maybe I read, and then I press reset. And so I do 10 to 20 minutes of breathing, head nods, rolling, rocking, crawling, just enough to get my body ready to do whatever it is I'm going to do. After that, I'll go train. And it may be a walk. It may be calisthenics. It may be crawling, extra crawling. It may be weight training or just whatever I feel like I want to do that day or whatever, where, depending on where I'm at or, if I'm at home or if I got to go teach a class or not. But the first hour of my day, typically, after I've just sat around and read my book and drunk my coffee, the first hour is I'm moving. Now after that, the rest of the day, I am conscious of the design, right? And I want to honor it, and I want to be around for my kids and my grandkids, and like I know the body's design, so I'm just conscious, and I don't sit still for hours a day. I engage in walks. Every 2 or 3 hours, I may take a 10-minute walk. Um, I'm, if I'm fortunate, I get to teach people how to move. So I may actually get to show them how to move a lot, so, uh, but I'm always checking, I've done it so much now that my tongue's always on the roof of my mouth. I'm always breathing in and out through my nose. I'm always filling my lungs up from the bottom to the top. So what I mean, I've practiced enough where I revisited the design enough where I'm living in the design as much as I absolutely can. And the good thing about that is though I don't have to buy special furniture. I don't have to do anything. It's crazy. It just means that when I want to sit down, I'm going to sit down and rest, but I'm not staying there.
Yeah.
So I may be there 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then I'm going to go do something else, right? but I had the energy to do something else too. So the more you live in your design, the more energy you have. And, so living a static life makes you want to live a static life. Not moving makes you
Mm.
want to not move. Because what do you need energy for anyway? You're not doing anything. The body is so efficient, it's going to give you what you ask from it. And the way to have what you want is to ask for it. And the way you ask for it is to challenge it, right? So it's simply economics. If you want something from your body, you create the demand and it will create the supply. So if your demand is sitting around all the time, the supply will be the ability to sit around all the
All
time,
the
which means
time.
you don't need all this other energy. You don't need muscle, you don't need bone mass, you don't need healthy joints because why? You're not using them. There's no need to have them. So basically what I'm saying is I spend my days asking my body for what I want. I want to be healthy. I want to be fast. I want to be powerful. I want to be fluid. I want to be balanced. I want to be coordinated. So I spend my day doing those things, asking for those things so that my body gives me those things. So it's boring, but it's nothing that any of us were not given from the day we were born, right? It's the same thing you see a child do. A child gets stronger because it asks its body to be stronger.
And I would add that when we've gotten in the direction of sitting around, being inactive, then the resets are more important than ever because you won't
Absolutely.
feel good. You'll probably weekend warrior it and try too hard and try to go run or something when you're not conditioned for it. And so getting the alignment, uh, restoring ourselves so that we can move energetically, healthfully is super important.
Well, I would say it's a threat to your brain to be a weekend warrior. If you're telling your body all week you don't want to do anything, and then all of a sudden you're gonna pull a call an audible on the weekend and you want to go run 20, miles per hour, your brain is like, what is happening? So it's not gonna feel safe with that. So you're not going to be able to fully express yourself like you want to on the soccer field all of a sudden because you've never told your brain you wanted to do that the 6 days prior to that day, right? And in all the weeks that you've been static. So that's a threat. That's like now your brain's like, whoa, I got to protect you. So I'm gonna make you slower, stiffer. I'm gonna I'm gonna
Right.
and but you're not gonna listen to that because you're out there playing soccer and you want to compete. So you're not listening to, well, I'm not as fast. I don't feel like I'm as powerful or whatever. And so you're still doing it anyway because you're out there having fun as you should, and you're made to have fun. But that's how you get hurt because you haven't prepared your nervous system, you haven't prepared your tissues, you haven't done all these things, you haven't lived in your design enough for your brain to say, I'm going to let you fully, freely express yourself. And that's how injuries happen.
Yeah. And I hear you're starting your day with the resets and then into whatever training you're going to do and you move intermittently throughout the day. Are there any nighttime routines you have right before bed?
After I eat dinner, I try to go take a walk, a 20 to 40-minute walk. It depends, through the neighborhood.
Oh, that's one interesting thing is when I go to the gym, because I do like these self-propelled treadmills because I just love the flow, the flow of it. And when I see everybody on the other treadmills, uh, because my background is normally I'm at an African dance class and there's drumming and there's color and it's very alive. And when I go to a gym, sometimes the culture is a little, and then I see people looking down while they're walking, and I'm like, no, you're messing up your vestibular, on a treadmill, but you're looking down at a phone while you're walking, or you're just looking down while you're walking. So that the connection of the eye placement and the tongue placement are really critical details to make whatever you're doing count.
I think if people would take more walks with their tongue on the roof of their mouth, breathing in and out of their nose, and keeping their eyes level with the horizon and using their eyes to scan the horizon, I think they would feel amazing.
Well, I think we're going to feel amazing. And thank you for helping so many people feel amazing. So let's turn the corner towards what are steps people can take to move forward with this. I mean, you just said it right there. Eyes scanning the horizon, tongue to the roof of the mouth, nasal breathing. We can all
If
do
if you
that. So we
just
can start that right now.
if you just do that, it'll change your life forever.
Now, one thing I learned is if you have some sensitivities or allergies and there's a little resistance, you can do Buteyko steps. There are ways to start teaching your body, reminding your body how to breathe through the nose. So
Yes.
that's one. What about how to know how to start a morning routine? Are there specific videos or parts of your website or YouTube videos or books?
Oh, I probably got 600 videos on YouTube. They're all like most of them are 2 minutes long, but they're simple movement. We call them like movement snacks, but they're simple movements that you can do to make your body feel amazing. And you could like say you could pick 5 little videos or just one. You can start with one and just do it every day. To
Great.
practice it for 2 to 5 minutes every day. You're gonna feel better. You're gonna start moving better. You're gonna start thinking better. I mean, so many things are just gonna get better, but all you got to do is show up just a little bit. Like it can be as quick as 2 minutes. Your brain, the nervous system changes at the speed of the information, right? So if you just engage for 2 minutes, well, that 2 minutes is information that's going to affect how your body feels, how your body can express itself. So it can literally be as simple as, hey, today I'm going to move my eyes and head up and down for 2 minutes. And here's the thing, though, that's so ridiculously easy to do. It's almost too easy not to do. Could you give me 4 minutes? Could you move your eyes and head up and down for 2 minutes and maybe rock on your hands and knees back and forth for 2 minutes? You're going to feel amazing if you do. And you know what? That is so easy to do. Could you do it for 6 minutes? Could you roll around for 2 minutes after you rock back and forth for 2 minutes? Like so ultimately I get a little greedy. I here's a snowflake. Enjoy. Hey, what would happen if we put a couple of snowflakes together? We're still only looking like less than 10 minutes a day to start your day. And you're just going to feel so good. You're going to feel so much better. And then what if you did that for 10 days in a row? Oh my gosh, you're going to have a great 2 weeks. You know what? You're going to feel so good in 2 weeks. You're probably just going to want to do that for 30 straight days in a row. Oh my gosh, you're going to do that. You're going to feel amazing. Now you developed a movement habit that is so easy to do that you're probably going to eventually get curious and say, what if I did this also in the afternoon? I mean, so it starts snowing. And next thing you know,
Snowball.
you've covered the landscape with this, everything's beautiful, everything's looking amazing. And now you got potential to make an avalanche out of it, right? So it doesn't have to be complicated.
And it doesn't. And I think the hardest part, like you said, is so easy. I'm not even sure people believe it will work. That's one reason I'm even considering charging people who I just nudge towards feeling better, considering just having them give me a deposit just to make sure they do their 5 minutes a day, because it's so easy not to and yet it works until you experience it. You kind of you don't realize how easy it could be to feel that much better. It's
Right.
especially all the other things sold. It's all these complicated things being sold as what you need, what all the way to surgery, right? Surgery being presented as a cheaper option than moving differently is really kind of outrageous. It's perceived as cheaper in a lot of ways. Oh, my insurance covers it, but it won't cover a physical therapist and it won't cover a personal trainer and it won't cover, yeah.
So like I said at the start, the body is made to be strong and resilient always. And part of that means that the body is made to heal always. And that's how it stays strong and resilient because it's always constantly, it's made to repair itself. So again, you're never stuck.
Never stuck. Yeah.
You're never stuck.
All right. And let's see. Okay. So, oh, by the way, you also train a lot of personal trainers. What does, how does a personal trainer who provides original strength coaching, what does that look like? They start the workouts with original strength resets or?
I mean, they can. So it depends on how creative they are and what their wheelhouse is. Like, some personal trainers specialize in different disciplines and things like that. However, if you learn how to press reset and you learn how to live in your design, it's super easy to start enfolding that into whatever training modality you specialize in, right? So I would imagine that I would say probably 99% of them would start their clients out with breathing, moving their eyes and head, rolling on the floor, rocking back and forth, just because it's going to help their clients move so much better for whatever it is they're
For
engaging
whatever
in.
the training that they're
Yeah.
providing.
So
Yeah,
the best thing about pressing reset is it helps you enjoy whatever it is you love to do. It helps you do it better. And when you
great.
can do it better, you can get more enjoyment out of it. And it's more effective too. Like, so if you're, whatever your training goal is, if like, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're an Olympian or if you're a soccer mom, like whatever your training goal is, if you just want to walk to your mailbox and feel good, you're going to be able to do that. If you want to get your PR or your best time in training for the 100-meter dash, it'll help you do that too. But it's just so super easy to fold that into your training routine and or your lifestyle. So in that respect, an original strength trainer just has the advantage of taking advantage of their client's design, knowing how to help their body do the things they want to do better.
And last thing, your books. Okay, a website and your books. I know, was it Strong? Born Strong? I can't remember. What's the
So,
first one?
Becoming Bulletproof was
Oh,
the,
Becoming Bulletproof.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, like if anyone wants to learn about, the stuff we're talking about, I guess the best book to start with would be called Pressing Reset, Original Strength Reloaded. Um, if if you want to learn how to implement easy, simple daily habits, I've got one called Habitual Strength. If you want to like take it, because like I said, I'm a Superman fan, so I did write a book called The Becoming Bulletproof Project. You can take this foundation of these movements we've been talking about, and then you can start to stack or add on top of them. You can build whatever structure you want. So there's one, that the Becoming Bulletproof Project is well, how do I do more with this? Um, but if you just want to feel good and amazing for your entire life, and live in your design, my latest book is called A Simple Book of Strength.
Hmm.
And it is simply how to live in your design and be as strong as you want to be and feel as good as you want to.
Great. I'll have to get that one. And your website, originalstrength.com.
Originalstrength.net.
Net.
Net.
Oh, good.
There's a
But you
there,
got that.
there's a chance.com will take you there, but .net will definitely take you
.net,
there.
originalstrength.net. And finally, your YouTube channel. Is it Original Strength? Is the
Yes, ma'am.
YouTube channel name?
It is
All
the
right.
Original Strength YouTube channel.
All right. You gave us things to do right away, books to read, just a wealth of information. There's really no excuse to not feel better when you make it safe and bite-sized. The snowflake size snacks get us to the changes that we want.
So I'll leave you with this. You're born to feel good.
I love it.
It's your design.
I love it, Tim. Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank
having me. This has
you.
been so much fun.
No, really, you've affected you big influence on my life. So I'm so
That's
grateful.
awesome.
Moving as designed is my website. Moving as designed. It's a grand design. We're
That's
meant
it.
to feel good. All
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks,
Bye.
Deb. You too. Bye.